In March, exactly 0 Federal Reserve officials thought interest rates should go up this year. 0. 3 months later, 9 of them do. And 6 of those want 2 hikes. So here's my question. What do 19 of the most cautious people in American finance know that made half of them flip in 90 days? Stick around. It's weirder than you think. Okay. Quick version for everyone who has a life and doesn't watch Fed press conferences for fun. I do. It's fine. I'm fine. In June, the Federal Reserve, America's central bank, held its first meeting under a new boss, Kevin Warsh. He took over from Jerome Powell in May. And at that meeting, they decided to do nothing. Rates stayed exactly where they've been all year, in a range of 3.5 to 3.75%. Fourth meeting in a row. Unanimous vote. Even Powell, who's still on the board, awkwardly enough, voted to hold. Nothing happened sounds boring. But 2 things inside that nothing were genuinely dramatic. First, the projections. Every quarter, Fed officials anonymously pencil in where they think rates should go. In March, the consensus was 1 cut this year. In June, 9 of 19 officials penciled in at least 1 hike before the end of 2026. That's not a tweak. That's the committee doing a U-turn at highway speed. Second, the statement. The Fed usually publishes a carefully worded essay after each meeting. This one was 132 words. They deleted the line suggesting the next move would be a cut. At the press conference, Warsh basically refused to elaborate. When reporters pushed, his answer was, "The statement says what it says." The market's reaction? Stocks dropped, short-term bond yields jumped, and traders started pricing in real odds of a hike. Roughly a coin flip by December. So, rates didn't move, but everything about the direction changed. To understand why that's a big deal, we need to talk about a 20-year habit the Fed just quit cold turkey. Look at this chart. Every big move for the past 2 decades, the cuts after 2008, the slow climb in the late 2010s, the emergency drop in 2020, the sprint upward in 2022, almost none of it was a surprise. That was by design. Since the early 2000s, central banking has run on something called forward guidance, telling markets well in advance what you're probably going to do. For 20 years, that was the playbook. Powell ran it, Bernanke ran it, Yellen ran it. Half the job of a Fed chair was managing expectations like a very expensive weather forecaster. Warsh thinks that entire approach is broken. He's argued the Fed spends too much time predicting the future, badly, and gets trapped by its own predictions. So he's ripping it out. Shorter statements, fewer hints. He didn't even submit his own rate forecast in June. He's floated fewer press conferences on the logic that you should only talk when you have something to say, which, as someone who makes YouTube videos weekly, I choose not to take personally. Here's the part that matters for you. The Fed has deliberately made itself less predictable. At the exact moment it's signaling rates might go up. 2 decades of "don't worry, we'll warn you first" gone. Whether that's refreshing honesty or flying blind depends on who you ask. Probably both. But why is any of this happening now? That's the mechanism part. 3 ingredients. Ingredient 1, the oil shock. In late February, war broke out between the US and Iran. Traffic through the Strait of Hormuz got choked off. The IEA called it the largest supply disruption in oil market history. Crude went from around $60 a barrel in late January to spiking well into the 70s and beyond. Expensive oil doesn't stay at the pump. It leaks into shipping, plastics, food, plane tickets, everything. Ingredient 2, inflation that was already sticky. It never actually made it back to the Fed's 2% target after 2021. Consumer prices rose 4.2% in the year through May, the hottest reading in 3 years. Warsh's summary was about as blunt as central bankers get. Prices are too high. Ingredient 3, the AI spending wave. Tech companies are pouring historic money into data centers, chips, and power. Right now, it's one more reason the economy refuses to cool off on its own. Supply shock pushing prices up, inflation that never fully healed, investment boom keeping demand hot. That's the squeeze. Now, what does it mean for your actual life? Mortgages and rent. The Fed doesn't set mortgage rates directly, but they live downstream of expectations about the Fed. If you were waiting for cheaper mortgages in 2026, that window quietly moved. Anyone carrying debt, credit cards, car loans, anything with a floating rate, holding at 3.5 plus means no relief. Savers get mild, rare good news. Higher for longer means high-yield savings and CDs keep paying real money. The job market is the slow-motion one. Rate hikes make companies borrow less, expand less, hire less. Hiring is usually where you feel it 6 to 12 months later, especially if you're early career and job hunting. My honest read? This is the most interesting Fed moment in years. The Warsh Fed is running an experiment. For 20 years, the deal was, we'll be predictable, so you can plan. The new deal is, we'll do what the data demands. And you'll find out when we do. The White House very publicly does not want hikes. Warsh was appointed by a president who expected a rate cutter. 3 things I'm watching next month. 1. The next Fed meeting, July 28th,